new update video. Tomorrow we're gonna leave this place and go back towards Stockholm. So we're gonna drive 500 kilometers. But because it's so cold and we don't think that the batteries will be able to give us enough power to go all the way home. So the plan is to go half the way today or more if possible, and then sleep and charge the batteries overnight. If they even can do that, because right now we're struggling. We can maybe run for an hour and then we have problems, maybe a bit more. So we might get maybe 100 kilometers, 80, before the batteries run dry. I just made a small trip and then I couldn't even, when I stopped, I couldn't start the car. So right now we're charging the main battery. The cables are still here, but I'm not planning on using them because these cables are so thin. I removed all the batteries actually, so it's empty here. The cables are still here, but they're so thin, not so good energy transfer with them. This is how the setup looks now when I've changed it with this new setup. The cables, they're all black, but the ones that are plus are marked with this orange tape. And I use a lot thicker wire. This is the thickness, like 4 times thicker than this is, like the old ones. It's 4 times the area. And I'm running plus and minus to the battery. And these ones are monitor leads, go to this multimeter. Now with the thicker cables, I don't have any problems that the batteries are different voltage. I have one battery here in the back, and then I have 3 here in the front, and they get heated from the heating system. When you're heating your feet, they get heated from that, and they also get heated from this fan when I'm charging. It's early in the morning, or not super early actually, it's like 8:30, but the sun is on its way up, so we can drive with the lights off without an issue. I've done some changes to the electrical system, so it seems a lot more promising. We started with 12.6 volts. So right now we have driven a bit. We're at 12.5. So hopefully we can drive at least 2 hours or more, but we'll see. There's a 2.5 hours to the next big town. We're planning on stopping and charging if we need to. The light is on, it's almost 12 there, 11.96. And this one is saying 12. So this meter is quite accurate now when there are thicker wires. And we are halfway home. So we've probably driven like 250 kilometers roughly. And we're at 12 volts, that's amazing. We have maybe 1 hour to a town. Where we were planning on sleeping tonight, but it seems as we can continue. The clock is like 10:15. We're trying to drive as fast as possible because that will reduce the time that the car is running, and that helps also to gain distance. Because this battery, I don't think it affects how fast you drive, it's just how long time the car is on. It uses as much electricity standing still with the engine running and moving. And the best thing is that we're going in the daylight, so we don't need to use the lights. For some reason the car just died, but we have 11.8 volts, which is pretty high. So it's pretty weird that it just died. We are like 30 minutes from our final destination. From 8 until 1 o'clock. That's 5 hours. Let's see if the starter motor wants to go. I think it could. I mean, it's 11.8. It's not that bad. I don't think we have run out of battery. We have some other fault here. That's really weird. I just started it again and it's running. I think it's related to fuel pump because once when I turned on the ignition, it wasn't priming. It wasn't making any noise. System check, yeah. The battery is going really low when you're running the starter, but it's enough for it to run. So yeah, let's just hope it will last the last bit. We're in the middle of nowhere. Just a straight road here. There's no fault to be found here. Everything seems normal. Okay, this is maybe 1 minute later and it's dead. The engine has stopped. We are pretty sure it's fuel related. The fuel pump is probably not getting power. Maybe too much salt and stuff has sprayed on the connections or something. So we're just rolling to a halt here. Hopefully we can find a spot where we can just stand still. Maybe we can stand here. Better than on the road. Oh, I have no power steering. It's maybe not the best place, but... So I have to crawl under the car, which I love to do in this winter weather. And check the connections for the fuel pump. Because if we turn on the ignition, on and off, I hear nothing. It should go like... for a few seconds. But there's nothing. So it's the fuel pump. And it seems to be working, so I'm guessing it has no power. So it must be the connections. We have 12 volts, which is awesome. So I think battery is no issue. We have enough to restart the car. Okay, I was under the car and there's a bunch of connections there because I put a relay there so I can turn off the fuel pump for some other project, but that project has been paused and there's a bunch of electrical connections that are exposed, so it's not good when you're driving in water and salt, and it kind of breaks the connections for the fuel pump. You can hear it sometimes when you start the car, you hear and then it's like because it's like cutting out. Let's see how far it drops when you do a restart. Fuel pump. Yeah, it drops really low. But it's working, so let's go. When the move again, there's a bunch of electrical connections there, but most of them are covered, but they're not in a permanent way. It's very temporary down there. And there was a relay. I took out the relay, which had quite corroded connections. So I'm pretty sure that was the issue. I cleaned up the connection points and we're all good now. It seems to be working. It's been running for a few minutes now. So hopefully we can push through this last 30 minutes. We arrived at our destination with battery left. We drove for over 6 hours and we had power to spare. So there were no problem whatsoever. We can drive for a long time with the sticker cables and everything that we did. It's no problem for us to drive for a full day. I'm guessing we can probably drive between 500 and 600 kilometers. 6 to 7 hours of driving if we completely push those batteries, and that's without headlights. So with one battery you can probably drive, at least you should be able to drive 1 hour if it's not too cold weather. I think the lights is the main factor for extending the range if your alternator is broken. Running without lights is the main key thing. Then you can have more than 1 hour of range. If you're running with the lights, you could have less than half an hour. 20 minutes, 15 minutes, something like that. Like the lights make such a big difference. Even though they're just taking 10 amps, means that the computer must take much less, maybe 5, maybe less. I don't know, it's strange, but that's the results I'm getting, at least running this system in the real world.